The DNC tells us that tonight's message will be about the party's vision for the country. And Democrats will continue to really push these differences between Harris and her opponent, former President Trump. Its latest data shows more than 3,300 people were hit and killed by drivers during the first half of 2023 alone. From where I'm standing right now, we're about less than 20 miles away from what used to be the Francis Scott Key Bridge. And over my shoulder, you are starting to see a little bit of that cargo ship that's still wedged in over there. It's been a little hazy this morning, but we can still see it. Has the administration considered expanding its quality control inspections for other Boeing planes? And if so, what could that scope look like? To say, I have to give honorable mention. I hear in Atlanta, y'all like to say the South got something to say. Well, Lil Jon made sure that Georgia had a lot to say last night. It was more of a concert than anything else. So the bill would block the social media platform from U.S. websites and app stores. That means your access to TikTok wouldn't be the same. The numbers will really tell the story tonight, and I'm going to have a Meet the Press moment. We are talking about nearly 900 delegates that are up for grabs. And hear people right now in the streets chanting hours after that video was released of the Tyree Nichols arrest. Now, I want to make note, people have been walking throughout the evening in parts of Memphis, started in one part of downtown Memphis, made their way to Interstate 55, shut down part of Interstate 55. George, these are bills you've been hearing about for months. We're talking about more money for Israel and Ukraine, plus the latest attempt to ban TikTok. You also want to be careful of counterfeit products. NASA does not endorse any kind of solar eclipse glasses. So instead, you want to look for this ISO logo. The crowd behind me has easily grown by several hundred. Over the last hour alone, we've seen signs that say end aid to Israel, calling for freeing Palestine. We've also seen that increased police presence around the train station, and organizers tell me this movement is called Shut It Down for Palestine. President Biden said he had been trying to reach former President Donald Trump after tonight's shooting. The White House tells us the two leaders spoke this evening. President Biden is now heading back to the White House after briefly addressing the country earlier tonight from Delaware. The Republican leading this effort today is accusing Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas of failing to enforce existing immigration laws. Lawmakers say more than 100 students have died on college campuses in hazing-related incidents since 2000. Just let that sink in. 100 students. This week, some of those parents were here on Capitol Hill as the House passed this bill. And one family tells me this is the first major step, but there's still so much work to do.
So we kind of feel like we got a little wink from heaven.
Today would have been Tim Piazza's 27th birthday, and his parents are now celebrating a bittersweet victory. House lawmakers passed the Stop Campus Hazing Act to help prevent what happened to their son from happening to other students.
The transparency that we so desperately need for parents and students that are making decisions about which organizations to join.
Tim Piazza died in 2017 after a hazing incident at Penn State University. He was just 19 years old and heavily intoxicated when he fell down the stairs and died less than 2 days later.
It may not be like a deadly weapon per se, like an automobile, but you give somebody a handle of alcohol and they're under duress. That is a deadly weapon.
This bill is the change the Piazzas have been fighting for since his death. It will require universities to report hazing incidents, create a consistent definition for hazing statistics, and provide hazing prevention programs for students and faculty. Both Democrats and Republicans support this measure, many of them getting emotional on the House floor.
It's about ensuring that college remains a place of new beginnings and hope,
as they acknowledge the families who have experienced these tragedies.
Evelyn and Jim have been at the forefront of efforts in Pennsylvania, here in Congress, and other states around the country to speak about the dangers of hazing.
As the bill moves on to the Senate, the Piazza family tells me they're also urging colleges and universities to step up.
Report to law enforcement when you find a hazing incident and let law enforcement take over, and also expel students.
And the Piazza family tells me that they're also pushing for more states to pass felony hazing laws that include jail time for people who violate them. Live in Washington, Kirstin Garriss, Channel 11 News.
Here's going from the coach to the head coach. Tonight, Vice President Harris will officially accept the party's nomination for the presidency. What are you watching for tonight?
Yesterday morning,
Well, I appreciate your sports reference. So we're watching for some more touchdowns, goals, baskets, all the things. But in all seriousness, this will be a moment for Vice President Harris to really reintroduce herself to the voters. So she really has to, make that touchdown because she wants to connect with them, not just as a vice president, but now as the candidate running for president. This will be one of her biggest speeches of her career on one of the biggest stages in the country tonight. And just last week, before the DNC even started, she released her first kind of economic agenda, and it has policies that outline ways that she wants to lower prices at the grocery store and even offer more support for homeowners. So we expect that she will talk about some of those issues tonight, along with other key policy issues, in an attempt to show voters why she believes she's the next commander-in-chief. It's wheels up for another summer travel season.
We're going to New York Fleet Week.
And millions are expected to pass through airports nationwide.
Oh my gosh, is it going to be longer wait times? Am I going to be able to get here as late as I usually do to push it?
But this year, there's some new turbulence. 6 major airlines, along with the lobbying group Airlines for America, are now suing the federal government over its latest junk fee rule. It would require airlines to disclose all fees up front.
I think that's pretty reasonable. I think it's common sense.
I talked one-on-one with Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg about the lawsuit.
We are going to defend this rule. We think it's the right thing to do.
Airlines for America tells me carriers already show those fees before a customer buys their ticket. In a statement, the organization said the rule will, quote, greatly confuse consumers who will be inundated with information that will only serve to complicate the buying process. A spokesperson also added that airlines advertise fee discounts and benefits with loyalty programs. But Secretary Buttigieg believes this rule is necessary.
And I would argue that if an airline's not even telling you what some of the fees, charges, and costs are before you buy a ticket, that's unfair and deceptive.
Back at the airport, travelers had mixed reviews about this effort.
I feel like they're running a business, so I say let them run their business.
We should be able to understand what you're charging me, and I shouldn't have to find out later when I get a bill.
Another new rule will require airlines to provide automatic cash refunds if there's a cancellation or significant flight delay.